because you can't do a live event right now, so we did a digital live event. Today, we're going to talk about what you can learn from that and how you can become a more profitable salon owner, all on today's show. Salon owners are some of the most amazing people on planet Earth. The only problem is sometimes their hearts are so big and they give so much of themselves to their staff and guests that it creates unintended consequences. Our goal is to change the industry by elevating the way the rest of the world sees salons, spas, and barbershops and give it the credibility that it truly deserves. This is the Salon Owner Evo-Revo Show. So fresh back from outer space, Doug, how does it feel, your first space exploration?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm trying to get used to gravity again. It was such a out of this world experience, just trying to get my feet on the ground.
This guy with the outer space jokes. By the way, if you can hear us and see us and you can hear the podcast coming through okay, do me a favor and say, I can hear it. For those of you guys that don't know, we do what we call destination trainings. 3 times a year, we get together with people, and we do an event every year in March, and then in July, and then in November. So we just finished up what we call our High Performance Salon Academy destination training, and it's kind of interesting. The last live one we did, Doug, was in March in Nashville, and literally as we landed, at least for me anyway, as I landed on the plane, my Uber driver said, the world got shut down. It was like the NBA games got shut, everything got shut down. It was like we literally landed, everything got shut down. And so we were supposed to go to Boston in July. We did a digital version of Boston. Then we said, well, we got to get together again in November. Where we're going to go that's 100% COVID free. And so we met up, quote unquote, in outer space. We got everybody moon pies and astronaut ice cream, and we sent everybody out, and we did everybody came and joined us digitally. If you were there with us live digitally, do me a favor and say I was in the chat, and I'd love to hear if you were there. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about what were some of the biggest takeaways, what were some of the biggest lessons, what were some of the things that people looked at that were like, man, that was one of the most helpful things. And I'm hoping that even though you were not able to attend, I'll give you some of the lessons that were learned, at least kind of the Cliff Notes version. If you're down for some Cliff Notes, do me a favor and say Cliff Notes in the chat, and we'll kind of give you some Cliff Notes version. But Doug, what were some of your highlights? What were some of your biggest takeaways from the our outer space destination training? Maybe you can talk about the theme and then some of your takeaways.
Well, the theme is being outer space. Infinity was kind of our like, how do you go from here to infinity? How do you get things to continue to move forward? So yeah, I think that concept of it, having Todd Herman in doing alter ego, that was super powerful. We had
I don't know, by the way, I don't know if you guys know who Todd Herman is. So Todd Herman's a mutual friend of ours that wrote an amazing New York Times best-selling book called Alter Ego. So shout out to Todd Herman. If you loved his session, do me a favor and say loved it. But the short thing is with Todd Herman with Alter Ego, he talks about how Olympians, how Martin Luther King, how pro athletes and all types of people use a mindset shift, like Clark Kent. You put on your glasses and you become somebody different. He talked about how a totem, right, could be a ring, it could be a glasses, it could be a lab coat, how it actually increases your performance. He's one of the foremost performance experts in the world, and he popped in and hung out with I think about 387 people is what Todd had when he was on, from all over the place. So yeah, that was pretty, dude, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think one of the neat, because some people say alter ego, is that being inauthentic? Is that not really who you are? What was interesting, one of the cases that he pointed out, the guy was like, whenever I'm up there on stage, I'm doing my thing, and that who I am in that space, he goes, that's actually who I really am, and I've been scared all my life to be that in my real skin. So in my real skin, I don't allow myself to be who I really am. So, I mean, that was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. Is that sometimes when you create that other one, it allows you to actually be who you are, because you don't have all the junk that you've been piled on yourself and that society has piled on you about who you are and how you're supposed to be. And it's free to be who you really want to be or who you really are. I thought that was super powerful.
Yeah, that was good. That's what we opened with. I mean, don't get me wrong. We did open with a giant cocktail party, digital cocktail party. We had shout outs from salons all over the country. We had near 100 salons over in Canada. I say the country. I just see North America as a country. But yes, North America, Canada, and the U.S. They came, and again, borders not open, no problem. We got them here, all thanks to some digital tech that we were running on there, which is really powerful. We set up our whole studio. Some of you guys might have seen our studio set up. We were able to see everybody. I was able to see all the attendees from all over. We had dozens of screens that we were rocking with and things like that. But yeah, I'd love to just share some other things. And again, if any of you guys were end up popping in that we're on, I'd love to see. Doug, I think my favorite moment of the entire training, and I'm going to go all the way to the end because this kind of happened at the very end. One of our big surprises that we gave, and I was hoping I had one around here, but I don't see it, is we actually named a star in the universe, like a legit star in the sky. Like we registered every single one of our salon owners' names as a star in the universe. And you know, the reason why I thought that was so powerful is, like we said, look, we really wanted to take you to outer space. Like, we weren't playing around, and we literally like registered you in the star registry as a salon in outer space. And there were some crazy stories that came out of that, Doug. Lots of people in constellations, like one of our gals, Celine, she actually has a tattoo on her body that is a specific constellation. And the star that we named for her salon was in the constellation she had tattooed on her body, which I thought was
that was pretty cool.
Man, how cool is that? Yeah, and I think, you know, for a lot of people, it was like, you know, Judy Crawford had said in there too. She's like, hey, you know, thanks for giving me a star in the universe, so I have something to aim for. Like, I don't know. I just kind of think that stuff is a big deal when you're paying attention to it and you kind of know that there's more at work. So let's roll through some of these comments. I'm gonna share with you guys, and for those of you guys that are in the program, Jamie is on here. Jamie Perky, by the way. Jamie, you tell me what your favorite part was of the training. I'd love to know. But I'm gonna kind of roll through some of these comments that we got in our private Facebook group here, talking about what it was. So, and we can talk about some of these and at least give you kind of like an overview. By the way, if you want to come to our next destination training, you're a salon owner, you want to learn how to grow, do me a favor and say HPSA in the chat. If you're interested, just like Doug's shirt, say HPSA, and we'll shoot you some information if you want to get some details on that. So let's see. Christina Yun says, from Canada, by the way, Canada represent. Hilda, alter ego, meeting with the tax team. Yeah, you want to talk about Hilda for a second, Doug? You want me to talk about it? You tell me.
Oh, I think it's just the format of giving people a format of how to shoot a video that actually connects with people. I thought that was very powerful, instead of just the normal get on live and you know, just talk about what you're going to talk about.
Shoot a random video, talk about a promotion or special.
You know, Ken gave us a really good breakdown of how to frame it and then how to put it together, so it actually you're intentional about who you're trying to connect with. You're intentional about really taking them down the road to an action. So I thought that was really powerful. And you know, what was interesting, I thought that he said was, you know, he's done, you know, thousands of videos, but he still gets nervous right before he hits the camera button. And so I think that was good for a lot of people to hear. And he said, but having a structure around it was one of those things that really helped him to be able to be intentional about what he's delivering and be able to say what he wants to say, instead of just picking up and winging it. Hey, look what we got on special. Hey, come in for this. Hey, come in for that. But actually being more intentional. So that Hilda model was very, very helpful, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and his name is Ken Okasaki, by the way. He's a friend of mine from Japan, and it was really interesting. You know, I was trying to pull up Ken right here for you guys real quick, but I think what was really interesting about having Ken in and having him check on what it is that we were doing is, like, he was set up, came in and said, hey guys, like, a lot of you are doing things that are creating more chaos than you need to when you're creating videos. And he said, look, most of you guys turn it on and say, hey, we have a special, come buy a gift card. There's, you know, we have appointments opening on Tuesday. He said, well, what if you actually just curated a whole video from start to finish that was valuable for the audience, gave them some education, showed them what kind of things they can do, and then very elegantly took them to book an appointment with you? Would that be valuable? Like, for you guys, they're listening or watching right now, if that's valuable, do me a favor and type in valuable. Is it, you know, most people left, like I know a lot of people, like Christina here, who had said this, you know, a lot of people left and they were like, yeah, that was super valuable, that Hilda format, to be able to shoot and produce videos. It just took it away from being this awkward, what the heck do I say on camera? So big shout out to Ken Okasaki for coming in and doing that event with us as well. And then Christina also said the tax team, she talked about the tax people. So who are the tax people? Doesn't it sound exciting, Doug? I'm sure everybody that's listening right now is like, oh, you talked about tax, glory be. That sounds like the best live event I've ever been to, right? Because tax is fun.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was Garrett Gunderson and his group, but it was. I mean, he makes it fun. I mean, I just love what I love about him is his philosophy on things. He's like, quit worrying about doing a personal budget and all that stuff. He's like, figure out what kind of life you want to lead, and then figure out how to support it with the income that you need to support it with. He says, you need to pay attention. Are you making some really simple mistakes on taxes that are robbing you from the lifestyle that you deserve to have? And so when you look at it that way, it's like, yeah, let's look and see if am I making some bad moves, or am I having the right meetings with the right people to make sure. As like I say, he said, I don't dig through all. He said, but I have the meeting and I direct that meeting and tell them what I'm looking for, and they tell me what's possible based on the law. So that I'm using. He said, don't do anything that's iffy, but get people that know the law, ask the questions, and make sure that you're so okay. If this can't be categorized to that, what do I need to do to make it legally be categorized as that? That makes a whole difference when you're writing, how you write off vacations, how you write off trips, how you write off properties. There's are legal ways that you can do it. And sometimes people just hear a piece of that and want to just wing it. And they're so far outside the law, it's not even funny. And they get audited there and like, oh no, I tried that and it was terrible. Get the right professionals, get your team together and meet with them on a regular basis and have the conversation. Can I write this off? No, you can't because this. Okay. If I change this, could I? Yes, you could.
Right. I think that was the biggest takeaway I got from Garrett's session. By the way, Garrett's wrote a ton of books. One is called Killing Sacred Cows, and he's got about 6 other really cool books. Runs a company called Wealth Factory about how do you keep and maintain income as a part of your salon and your business. Well, not specifically for salon, but your business in general. And I thought it was really fascinating, Doug, that he talked about this idea of like, look, your CPA's answer first is probably going to be no. Oh, you can't write that off. But then he said, but then you got to ask the question, well, what would it take for me to be able to write that off?
Right.
Right. Because he's like, well, look, I'm doing a trip to, and this was roughly the story. He's like, I'm doing this trip to Italy. How do I write this off? They're like, there's no way you could write that trip off. And most people are going to stop right there and say, okay, right. Well, then that's not like, we're not going to be able to do it. Right. And he said, but you got to ask yourself a question. Well, look, I've got to do a retreat for the business, right? I've got to be able to do my annual planning meeting, or I've got to be able to do this. Like, can I do that? And they're like, well, wouldn't let you write the whole trip off. Cool. So can I write off a percentage of it? Which is another big takeaway from that. Maybe you could write off 10% of your trip. And they said, well, what if while I'm there, what if I also shoot some other videos while I'm in Italy for my company? And I do a production shoot while I'm there. Well, okay, now you can write off a little bit more of the trip, right? And all of a sudden, you get to write off more and more and more. And he said, he ended up writing off 50% of a trip that he was doing. And again, just to clarify, this is all legal. This is all legal right. Stuff to do. But I think what he gave me the gift of when we were hanging out with Garrett, it was this idea that like, instead of just seeing your CPA as the end all be all, your job is to push your CPA. And when they say no, say, how can we? What would I need to do to make that a write-off? Anything that like closely relates to business activity, how can I sort of, what would it take for me to use that as a write-off? Which I thought was super strong, man, because I think most people don't strategize with their CPAs. They just ask their CPA yes or no, and CPAs are black and freaking white, so they're right. Going to say no almost all the time.
It's just like writing off mills and writing off restaurants, stuff like that. It's like there's one way you do it where you get the 50% write-off. There's another way you can do it where you get 100% write-off. It's according to who's present and what you talked about, and it changes the dynamics as long as you document it the right way. Then some of them are 50% off, some of them are 100% off. But if you don't take the time to document it correctly, then they're 0% write-off.
Totally. So let me see if I can pull up some more here while we're talking about this. By the way, if any of this stuff is valuable for you, would you just do me a favor and say valuable? I want to know if you're getting value out of us just kind of recapping this and just talking about it. Hopefully it's valuable for you guys. Tina Lanou said, Simon. Oh, we haven't talked about Simon yet. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of, I'll just call them extended homies that we bring out to do stuff like this. And Simon is one of those friends of ours. Simon's been a good friend of mine and Doug's for a couple years now. And Simon is just freaking brilliant. He does something called the models method. And what he does is he actually helps communicate things to people using written models so that you don't have to argue over silly points. And I guess is one way I would say that. Meaning that he said, look, if you in a normal situation, you want to have some type of mediator, right? Like if somebody's not hearing the other person, you want to put a mediator in the middle and control the conversation. He goes, what if you use a model? What if you draw a model? So we drew these 3 circles, and I thought it was super profound. He drew these 3 circles, and he just said, look, just so I can, have a conversation about your hair today, there's kind of 3 different ways that we can do this. Number 1 is we do around the outside in the circle. So around the outside, we can do kind of like a basic, what everybody else is doing. We can just do a regular haircut for you today, and you can get out the door and on your way. The middle circle is, well, we can do something to be a little cooler, more stylish, more on trend. It'd be a little bit more money, but we can do something like that. And then in the center, we can do something really edgy, really stylish, and you can be talked about. And we can get you to a really good place that would just be unique. Nobody else would have it, and we can really go to town. And this would cost a little bit more money. Which would you prefer? And we talked about that. How do we do that with retail? How do we do that with cut services? How do we do it with color services? How do you do it with spa? How do you do it with nails? And I just love, Doug, about Simon's session that he really just kind of got people to think, how else could I do this? Instead of just say, what are you here for today? What are we doing? Right. It's like put them in a spot where they can kind of self-select, which I thought was brilliant.
The magic of his thing is so he says communication is 80% visual. And so whenever you put a visual model, you've already communicated 80% of the information with just the model. It's like I'm trying to explain something to you right now. You're creating your own picture in your brain of what I'm trying to explain to you. And I've got the picture of what I'm trying to explain in my brain. When we illustrate that in a model right off the bat, now then all that explaining doesn't have to happen. Now then we can get into what we're actually talking about, and we're talking about the same thing. So I think it's like that model he had for in the salon. It's like, boom, now that it's very clear representation of what each thing stands for. I'm not having to explain that and hope that you're understanding me. It's already illustrated. It's super powerful, super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was awesome. He came in and gave some really good rundown. And by the way, a lot of these people that we had on, Simon Bowen, Todd Herman and Ken Okazaki are not from the salon and spa industry. They're just extended friends I've done a lot of business with, and Doug and I've had some good relationships with. And I think sometimes it's really helpful. By the way, if you think it's helpful to get insider info from outside the industry, do me a favor and type the word outside in the chat, because I think when you bring somebody from outside the industry in, they just have such a unique perspective, and they can share with you tools that no other salons on the planet are using, because these are people who are not teaching things in the salon and spa industries. If you only go to salon industry stuff, unless they're bringing in experts from outside, you're going to get stuck in just kind of the same thing that everybody else on the salon planet does. Doug, isn't that the case? You can go to a salon only trade show and you just get to learn what, other salon owners are doing. What if you learned what other industries are doing? What if you could be the unique person to stand out in your local marketplace in the salon and spa space? I want you guys to be unique and to be, have some outside perspective from just some incredible individuals.
Yeah, because I think it's one, having that person's perspective looking in, and it's also you looking at it and say, wow, I see how I can relate that to my business inside of here. Mm-hmm. And to your point, when it's the whole, trees and forest thing. If you're sitting in the middle of the forest with other people and you're sitting in one place, it's really hard to find your way out of a thick forest sometimes. You got somebody from the outside comes in, then all of a sudden it becomes very clear what the path is. So I think there's just super value from having that outside look at it and pulling it in, because we always have to tell them who they're going to be talking in front of. So they're thinking about how would this relate to that industry, but then people see it and it's like it just morphs into this. Somebody goes, oh yeah, take that idea. And then the other powerful thing with our group is when we put them together and have them discuss it. And now then you got multiple brains saying, how could we use this? How could we turn this around? And how could we flip it into our industry? And then it just turns into some really cool stuff. And there's some great ideas that came up that would not have gotten triggered if we hadn't had Simon up there and starting people on the road. And then everybody took it and ran with it.
Completely. And I want to go back to a couple more comments in here. These are all just people who had joined it. Dana Robinson from Pure Posh down in San Antonio said Alter Ego, the tax specialist. Oh, and they got their Momentum Award. We give away awards for people who are dedicated to their salon growth. So they received a Momentum Award, which was awesome. Congratulations on all the hard work. Christy Leslie said, can't think, brain too full. It's always a good day. Kara Archer said, oh my God, only 3. Alter Ego for sure. This weekend blew my mind. So glad that some of you guys are in. Here's another new member of the Academy, Dustin. Alter Ego referred to me as the Doctor. Also my initials. I love it. DR, Doctor. I like it. That must be his alter ego, right? The videos were great, albeit the breakouts were short. The connection to others who were experiencing the same hurdles and wins feels great. There was a true sense that everyone cared for each other, regardless of any differences. That is a feeling I don't see much of, or I'm not seeing much of lately. Nice to connect with all of you. So yeah, I mean, just there's so many good things on here. I'm trying to see if there's some other stuff. Alter Ego, anything we haven't talked about yet. Loved Garrett, the money talk. Salon owners working better together. Oh, this was a really good one. Danielle Cherwick shared some really interesting stuff about about helping people to level jump. She gave some really good stuff on here about level jumping with the team. That was really massive. Let's see what else is in here. She also gave some good framework, and I can't remember, was it, I think it was Jen Booth who gave some framework for this, the one-on-one meetings, the FFPF, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was Jen Booth. I wish I remember what the FFPF was. I wasn't in her session, so I didn't get to hear it. Were you in there?
It was fun, present, or fun, personal, present, and future, I believe.
I got it. Oh, so it might be 2 P's in there. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I think one of the things, and again, we'll have to go back and catch that, but it was so good just to have those opportunities to just, tell people like, hey, these are important things that'll make a big, big difference in your life if you get them right. It's just the problem is for most people, they're not having fun inside the salon. So yeah, I mean, I think there's so many things that happened. It's hard to get into it all, but I want to just make sure you guys got a little sample, a little taste of what it's like to come to a High Performance Salon Academy destination training. Our goal is as soon as we can go back to doing them live, we will. But we had some really big things. Actually, one of the other things we announced too is we announced our next high octane adventure, which is pretty freaking exciting. We just wrapped up. Some of you guys know that we do a high octane adventure every year, and we just got back from driving tanks in Minnesota, shooting machine guns, which is its own experience in and of itself. You've never done that. And we got these Polaris Razors and went around on this real professional trophy truck track and did some amazing stuff. But we just announced our brand new high octane adventure, which was sold out in the first second after we announced it, basically, which we're going to be going to Lake Tahoe and doing a complete aerial combat experience. We're going to get up and do basically the most ridiculous roller coaster ride you've ever had in your entire life in these stunt planes, and they actually do an aerial combat experience where you pretend to shoot down other airplanes in Lake Tahoe coming up in May, which is just going to be, it's just next level, man. We've done rally cars, we've driven tanks, now we're going to fly airplanes through the sky and do some incredible stuff. Honestly, I'm a little freaked out to go do it, but it's a limit pusher, and that's, I think, what I want to kind of wrap this whole thing up with you guys is just say this. Everything we do inside the High Performance Salon Academy is designed to push you. It's designed to test you. It's designed to open up your boundaries and help you see that you are truly infinite. And that was why the whole destination training to be in outer space was called Infinity, because we want you to know you're truly capable of anything. And everything we do, from our crazy adventure trips that we do to just bringing in people who just stretch your mind and stretch your imagination, are designed to help you feel more infinite while creating an intimate environment for you to share. Doug, anything you want to say as we wrap up, man, for today's podcast?
I think that's the thing. Is that the thing that we try to get the 6 inches in here is what stops us. Is that we really got to work on that part as much as the others. How you view things, how you view yourself, how you view possibilities. So we start breaking through some of those things, and people just accelerate like nobody's business. So I just love when we get together and do that. Love the energy of the group. I love the people that come and share and give. So just it was an awesome experience. My first experience in outer space, and I really enjoyed it.
Totally. I just want to say this. There's something magical that happens when you get all these people together, even digitally, is that when people get together, instead of them just all having like their own individual minds, we create a new mind. We create like one new mind that starts to create amazing ideas, and the ideas flow, and it just becomes extremely powerful. So like I said, if you want information about how you can join us for our next destination training we have coming up in March, and we may do some things in between then. Do me a favor, just comment HPSA in the comment section below. And if you got some value out of this podcast, would you do me a favor and tag another salon owner or somebody in the industry that you're like, you need to get with it. You need to learn some of this stuff and see what makes you what would help you stretch and grow. Do me a favor and tag them. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this podcast, one of the things that helps us more than anything else you could possibly imagine is by actually rating this podcast. Give it a rating. Let us know what you think, and share this online. It really helps us to reach more salon owners, because our entire mission at the High Performance Salon Academy is to elevate the world's perception of the salon and spa industry, and we can only do that with your help. So thank you so much for being on the show today. Doug, as always, pleasure having you on. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Evo-Revo podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and you can always get more information, including show notes and the video episodes at evorevopodcast.com.